Major Cyclone Olga has strengthened substantially since last night, now a Category 4, with winds of 115 miles per hour, gusts of 145 miles per hour, and a central pressure of 948 millibars. The storm, as I said, has strengthened substantially and quite unexpectedly as well. Into a very powerful tropical cyclone here. Seeing on satellite imagery right here, the eye very well defined indeed, shrinking a little bit in the latest, just got up, shrinking a little bit in the later frames. However, still presenting as pretty well defined indeed, small but well defined. The storm's general overall structure is presenting very, very impressively. This is a extremely mature storm right here. The organization is perfect. The organization of the eye wall structure is almost perfect as well, and the storm's size does happen to be pretty small overall together, which means less effects for the coast of Western Australia. As if it was a larger storm, there would be stronger winds and higher waves. Moving on to, we're going to move on to some infrared just to see exactly what's happening with that eye wall structure. You can quite clearly see not only do we have that eye wall structure, but we have cloud top temperatures of negative 77 degrees Celsius or higher all the way around the eye, all the way around, which is another thing showing how powerful and how well organized this storm is. As you can see, the eye in earlier frames reaches all the way down to the ocean, all the way down. But in recent frames has seen a slight shrinking effect and a decrease in the depth of the eye. Not a huge decrease. It's definitely still there, but it no longer reaches all the way down to the sunlight, not reaching all the way down to the ocean anymore. That being said, we have a few models to run. We have a model run to go through. Not a few. I don't know. See why we would need a few. Storm, as it has strengthened, is pretty much peaking right now as the Category 4 storm, and the storm looks like the forecast models thinking it might draw a tad bit closer to the west coast of Australia than originally thought. However, not too much closer, not closer enough to really increase the impact level. And the storm practically fizzles out into nothing, just literally 3 days from now. And then there's again, we're keeping an eye on that Coral Sea storm in the Gulf of Carpentaria. Makes landfall what looks like a Category 1 at best, probably actually not even a Category 1, more like a tropical storm equivalent. And it moves into the Gulf of Carpentaria, still as practically nothing, and then its energy stalls in north of the Gulf of Carpentaria. Also, all that energy, as you can see just off of the coast of the Cape York Peninsula, the east coast, gives birth to what appears to be another tropical disturbance, but however, it exists only briefly, and then translates into that mess translates into another mess that creates another tropical cyclone. My God. In the Coral Sea, and wherever that's headed, it's hard to tell. And believe it or not, it creates a fourth tropical cyclone, which is very interesting. The massive mess of downpours and thunderstorms we just saw translated into 4 separate low-pressure centers, and pretty much 4 tropical cyclones there. Some weak, some strong. So very interesting to see how that plays out if that happens, but it's long-range models, so I would not put too much confidence on that. Rainfall potential. I think the storm has been taking a bit of a more southward jog than originally thought. So rainfall, in terms of rainfall, despite that southward jog slightly, it's not going to result in anything where the storm ends up. However, once the storm is already fallen apart, not as a tropical cyclone. Once it gets that closest draw toward the far western coast of Australia, it may drop between 12, 15, maybe 20 millimeters of rain. So not really, still not really that much. And then that second cyclone, or you can call it that, drops quite a noticeable amount of rainfall between landfall between what appears to be 150 to between 150 and 225 millimeters of rain on the coastline. There maybe 250. And then as everything stalls in the area, you can see all this rain stacking up from the north of the Gulf of Carpentaria to the northwestern Coral Sea, and some of those rainfall tallies exceeding 500 millimeters, which is quite a bit, indeed. That is over 20 inches. Well, that being said, that's what we've got for models. Wind shear intensity 15 knots right now, so favorable indeed, but getting closer to neutral at this time, and then it will move into all of this mess over here. Wind shear between 30 and 70 knots, and sea surface temperatures, not anomalies, geez. Sea surface temperatures right now underneath the storm unchanged since yesterday. 27 to 27, 28, maybe 29 degrees Celsius. And where the storm is headed, it will drop to around 27, maybe 26, in fact, as it gets toward the point where it's moving away from the coast. It will run into some 26s to 27s. And one more thing we're going to check on here. As you can quite clearly see, we're taking a look at this right now, just as a quick post, an update. We have right here all this cold pool and the anomalies, sea surface temperature anomalies. That is the beginning of our coming La Nina. This what's left of the El Nino here. As you can see, is completely poorly defined and really blending into the rest of the ocean now. And as you can see right here, we have a La Nina sprouting up. It's beginning to form already. It will only be a matter of weeks before this becomes more pronounced, maybe a couple months or so, before this becomes much more pronounced. And then we'll likely have a La Nina in effect by the time we get toward the more active months of hurricane season in the Atlantic, which will mean a more active Atlantic season and a less active Pacific season.